Hey, thanks for joining us on another episode of Construction Tech Talk right here on Iron Pros. This is another one of our fabled We Talk to Smart People episodes, which are so named because, you figured out We Talk to Smart People. And today, we've got Alistair Hayfield from Interact Analysis. How are you doing, sir?
I am very well, thank you, and I am glad that I am a smart person.
Well, I need all the help I can get, man, so I need you. Okay, so Alistair, you and I had a talk the other day about the movement of light equipment towards greater automation. And there's some different factors playing into that are going to help move that along in the coming months and years. And I found it pretty fascinating. So before we get into that, why don't you kind of spill a little bit on who you are, what you do in life as we know it, and a quick front page on Interact Analysis.
Sure. So I'm Alistair Hayfield. I'm a senior research director with Interact Analysis. The business is a market research and consultancy firm. We've got offices around the world. We look at a number of different technologies. We look at obviously construction equipment, but we look at industrial automation, and we also look at warehouse automation and mobile robot technologies. So a lot of pretty cool stuff that's kind of challenging some of the more traditional industries. My background, I've been kind of working on market research for about 20 years in various different industrial and automotive markets. And I've spent, I guess, probably the last 6 or 7 years looking at commercial vehicles, so both on-road truck and bus, and also off-highway equipment as well, and looking at how automation, autonomy, electrification is transforming some of those markets.
And when we talked the other day, we were, really kind of getting a quick wrap of what's going on with automation in production equipment used in construction, which would be the OEM off highway type of thing that my associate Lori DeToro would cover. And now she's been kicked upstairs to be the editor of equipment today. So we cover this stuff, pretty regularly. But when it comes to light equipment in particular, why do you think that we're going to see more of this, coming into this class of equipment? And are there going to be some bright spots where we'll see this come to market sooner than others?
Yeah, I think the way I tend to think about this is when you think about automation, where is it going to help and where is it going to be used, right? So, normally you would automate something if you want it doing really precisely. It might be, you can't find enough people to do the job manually, so you kind of want to have a machine do it. Or it might be, kind of efficiency or safety, something like that. And I think when we think about automation and for compact equipment, it's going to be around some of that, labor saving. So kind of speeding things up for operators or kind of helping them with more mundane tasks. And it might be starting to help kind of fill some of that kind of labor shortage, right? Some of the tasks that operators are asked to do require a huge amount of skill. It's a very skillful job. But if there aren't enough people to get those tasks done, you start to think about, well, how can I provide a kind of technological boost for an operator who might not be able to do something, but if a machine can do it, that's maybe something we want to do.
Certainly, labor shortage is one thing that's plaguing the construction industry by and large. And we are seeing as various types of automation come into, for instance, earth moving, for instance, automated, level control on screeds and blades. And that is really lowering the skill level required of someone you put into that cab. And then we're seeing some other technologies going more completely autonomous, but then like the built robotics, exoskeletons for construction, really sticking to that repetitive use case, as it's kind of tricky to have a piece of construction equipment be fully autonomous in a very dynamic environment at this point. But when it comes to light equipment, why do you think that we're going to see a lot of action in that space right now as opposed to the heavier types of earth moving and mining equipment that we often see referred to with this?
I think it's a good question. So it might be kind of two things. Typically, and if I go back to kind of my experience in automotive, you tend to see the transition to electrification kind of going a little bit hand in hand with greater automation and autonomy. If you're starting to, put more electronics, more motors into a vehicle, that gives you greater ability to kind of have precise control over some of the functions of that machine. And we would certainly see that compact equipment is going to be the area that electrifies first. So that might be one of the kind of drivers here, that once you start to put more tech into a machine, more control, you start to be able to do a little bit more in terms of sophisticated functionality. Um, the second aspect, I guess, is kind of what I already said, right? That some of this machinery is going to be used in tasks on sites where it's repetitive. You might be looking for more precision, better accuracy, something like that. And so starting to bring in automation is it's a kind of a boon for construction equipment, site operators, or people like that who want to speed up some of the tasks that are being done on site.
Do you think that light equipment in, for instance, the rental channel may see automation to help folks deal with that probably lower level of skill, particularly not just for the contractor, but someone who may in fact be working on their own project?
Yeah, it could do. You could imagine it being a sort of value added service that a rental fleet could offer, right? If you're going along, you're sort of thinking about a machine that you want for your project. You might be convinced to kind of pay more if you think that the functionality is going to allow you to get kind of more done more quickly, or do a better job, right? So I could see a strong argument that this is something that the rental fleets could offer as a service.
You and I were both at Con Expo this year in Las Vegas. It's a big show. I didn't run into you. I'm sorry about that. But you seem to have seen some things there that were pretty intriguing on this front. Why don't you spill a little bit on that?
Yeah, I thought one of the kind of more interesting kind of booths or demonstrations was what was going on at the Bobcat booth, right? So a couple of things there. They're fully electrified machinery that they were showing, completely replacing the hydraulics with actuators. Now, the kind of nice thing about that is that allows some of the greater precision that we've been talking about, particularly if you can kind of computer control the kind of movements of a machine. So that's great if you're looking to have very precise grading, or you want to do a very very precise task on your construction site. The other really neat thing that I saw there, and I think this was actually the first time they've had it in a machine, is kind of their augmented reality display. So in one of their excavators, they had a large display, LG display, where they were kind of showing an information overlay over what you could see out of the cab. So if you're an operator, it had the locations of electricity, water, gas. So it's helping with that situational intelligence, right? You're going to get an alarm if you're digging too close to something that you shouldn't, and it's going to hopefully lead to less mistakes, increase safety on the site. And so that was a really really kind of cool thing that caught my eye at ConExpo this year.
One other thing that kind of jumped out at me at Con Expo, and I'm not sure if this occurred to you as well, is that something like Bobcat will have that feature that we call equipment guidance, where there is not a system that's controlling the bucket or the end effector on the equipment to execute against the plan, but you can see visual feedback in terms of where the bucket is, how that relates to what you're trying to deliver, and you can be guided in completing the project. CAD has had a function like that for a long time. We're starting to see some more insurgent companies, often from your side of the pond, and specifically in Europe, come to market with equipment guidance, and they're positioning it as simpler to use, and of course, not quite as spendy as full automation or grade control or something like that. What we saw at ConExpo 2 is Trimble kind of going down into that space. Of course, they're probably fairly dominant in terms of market share when it comes to aftermarket systems for grade control and machine control up to and including steering. But I think that they're recognizing that this is kind of a stopgap between not having anything and taking that first step to equipment guidance. Do you think that there will be a progression of contractors from unsophisticated non-digital ways of working to equipment guidance, then continuing on to higher degrees of automation?
Yeah, I would think so, and again, I would draw strong parallels with what we've kind of seen in automotive, right? That you move from the 80s and 90s where cars are largely mechanical. There's no assistance functionality, right? And you start to see assistance functionality being added that is kind of always bringing the driver some level of benefit. It might be navigation, it might be assisted braking, collision avoidance, something like that. And I think we would kind of expect to see the same kind of rollout with technology here. There will be simple features and functions that make the operator's life easier, or for the project contractor are speeding up the project or making it more efficient, something like that. So absolutely, things that um, are automating some of the machine control and make a kind of basic operator a bit more sophisticated. Yes, I think we can expect to see that. Some of the other things I saw at ConExpo were, some of the more sophisticated operations that you need a machine to do are now kind of basically pre-programmed. You operator just presses a button on the console, and the machine is kind of programmed to do it. And I think we can expect to see that, and that will be the progression up to kind of fully automated, fully autonomous machines for the construction sector.
What we'll be doing, you and I, Alexander, is spending some time on a periodic basis, just catching up because we have a lot of ground to cover here in Iron Pros. We do everything from the software side, which is more my comfort zone, from business and technology, from business and finance through to safety, all the way through to software used to manage equipment and fleets and things like that. So I'm running out of RAM, buddy. So I really appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm always happy to kind of talk about this stuff. I find what's happening in the construction industry at the moment fascinating. You've had I don't mean this to kind of come across as sort of offensive, but a real kind of conservative industry that's not changed a lot for a long time because it hasn't really needed to. It's kind of worked just fine, but now it's been asked to do a lot more. It's been kind of forced to look at emissions. It's been forced to look at safety and efficiency, and it's great to see it kind of starting to adopt some of these technologies. And I'm just I'm really excited to see how they'll be rolled out, and where they will start to find kind of value for operators and for fleets.
Yeah. Well, if you like hearing about stuff like this and you value the insights of smart people like Alistair, keep on coming back here to Iron Pros because this is what we do day in and day out. And our goal here is to do the due diligence on all these technologies so you can do less of it and focus on your real job. So we'll look forward to seeing you soon.